Here with Representative Paul DeMarco, House Representative District 46, at the legislative session in Montgomery. How are things going?
Great. Second week of the session, so everybody's back at work, back at committee meetings, and we've had, 4 legislative days now. So this will be the 5th legislative day. We're in session for 30 legislative days, so we're just getting started, but so far so good.
So, what are the plans? What's the hot topics, the bills that we're looking at, historical tax credit?
Well, let me tell you, I was so pleased that legislation passed last year. We had been working on it, I think, for almost a decade, and I think there was finally a realization that the importance of that legislation across the state of Alabama. When you've got buildings that have so much historical significance, but because of some of the issues like asbestos and area issues, it was just cost prohibitive to go in and develop those buildings. So I think what that will do to the real estate market across the state of Alabama, whether you're talking about an urban area, suburban, or some of the rural areas, to give developers and put real estate back on the market. It's going to be a renaissance. We've seen that across the country. If you look at New Orleans, they've had historical tax credits for a while now, and there's a lot of redevelopment in downtown New Orleans because of the incentives of this legislation. So we need to go back and revisit some of that legislation. I know there's a sunset provision the next couple of years. We need to go back and revisit that, and I'm optimistic we can get that done because there's been so much interest. When we passed that legislation last year and during the course of the summer, there's been so much interest in this legislation. We know that it will be a revenue producer for the state of Alabama.
And what about the limitation? Do you see it increasing? Or
yeah, I do. I think there's a cap, and that was an initial cap to see the interest, but the interest has been so much. There are so many dollars that want to go into this historical buildings across the state of Alabama that I think we need to go back and increase the cap. And I think it will go back, as we've said before, is the interest in this legislation, the dollars will come back and generate even more dollars because you take an empty building that's sitting there and you redevelop it and sell it and lease it, it's going to produce more sales tax and income tax, create jobs. Jobs, real estate market, construction, and then retail and those living. So I'm really excited. That if you look back last year, that was one of the most important pieces of legislation we passed. It didn't pass in the exact way we wanted to pass. That's why we need to go back and revisit, remove the sunset, and raise the cap because I think you will see more investment in real estate in the state of Alabama.
Quick update on land bank legislation.
Yeah, I know that legislation was introduced last year. It's still early in the session, so hopefully it'll come, I know, out of the Senate, and then all of us will get to look at that legislation.
All right, the Realtors Association. What does that mean to Representative Paul DeMarco?
Well, I've got so many realtors in the district. My father has been in the real estate business for 30 years now, and let me tell you, they're friends, family. And in our community where I live, in the suburbs of Jefferson County, we have such a great market. And the realtors are not only involved in that, but involved in other aspects of the community as well. So it's like I said, it's friends and family.
Well, what's the next steps for Representative Paul DeMarco? Plans? What are we working on?
Well, working hard this session. Got a lot of legislation this session, and working hard on that. But also a candidate for the United States Congress for the 6th Congressional District. Congressman Backus has announced his retirement, and so I'm working hard on that. And I've gotten a lot of support, and I appreciate the support from all the realtors in the 6th Congressional District across it. So very, very pleased and proud of the support I've gotten from realtors.
Outstanding.